Every assignment is different, however, a lot of them contain many of the same components, such as the checklist of items to bring. A lot of those are the same, and a lot of the same photos are being taken from assignment to assignment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over the initial inspection assignment in detail, because this contains some unique components, and this will cover most of the components that are in many of the other assignments. So let's just start at the very top. At the very top, you'll see the title, Matt Martin Initial Inspection. Matt Martin is the name of the asset management company that has called us out to do the inspection on this property. We'll have the property address, and then we have the checklist of items to bring. We've gone over that in detail already. Next, we tell you exactly what you need to print off from home or from your office. Print this checklist, which is the initial inspection checklist. Print the main photo checklist, the initial inspection input form, the HPIR, and the driving directions. All of these are attached to the email. A lot of times people like to print 2 copies of the main photo checklist because we require 2 sets of photos, and it just makes it easier that way. Next, email the office with an approximate time and date that you'll be arriving to the office. If your arrival time projection changes more than 30 minutes, you must call or email the office to update us. We plan out our day and plan out our assignments so that we manage our time appropriately, so we have to have some kind of general idea as to when you're going to complete these assignments, when you're going to show up. That also helps to make sure that we've got everything ready for you so that there's no delay whenever you get to our office. And then that brings us to number 4, drive to the reomaven.com office or storage unit. Give you the addresses to pick up the following. So you know, after you print that stuff off, you got to send us an email, then come out to our office, and these are the exact items that you must pick up once you get to our office for this particular assignment. Okay, so the next step is to drive to the subject property. Before we go into that, I just want to mention, if you have all of the recommended items that we say that you need to complete the assignment, and you've printed the things from home, you've come to the office, and you've got those things, there's not one other single thing that you could possibly need that we haven't put on the checklist. You know, as long as you've done all that stuff, you're good to go, so you don't even have to think about it. So once you've done all that, move to number 5, you drive to the subject property. Once you arrive at the subject property, park on the opposite side of the road from the house. This will help keep your car out of the photographs, and it also sets you up to take an efficient route walking around the property. Now, when you're sitting in your car, the first thing it asks you to do is review the HPIR, circle items of interest. I recommend that you do this sitting in your car right in front of the house so that you can also take time to become aware of your surroundings, notice any other cars around, any people walking around, and just keep an eye out for any kind of suspicious behavior or anything that could potentially cause you to feel unsafe, so that you can avoid any bad situations. We haven't had any bad situations happen, but this gives you a chance to avoid something like that. Okay, review the HPIR. There are several documents here in this checklist that are referenced that you're going to need to leave this checklist to go complete. After you complete the supporting document, just come right back to this checklist and continue where you left off. So in this case, you'll go find the HPIR, you'll circle the items of interest. Once you get done with that, you come right back to B and you continue on from there. Locate the case number and write it very large at the top of the sign-in sheet with your black marker. The case number is a 9-digit number that starts with 491 or 492. You'll find the case number on the HPIR. So to write it on top of the sign-in sheet, you're going to have to actually enter the house, locate the sign-in sheet on the kitchen counter, and you write it in big black marker right on the top of the sign-in sheet. You sign in, you take a photo of that sign-in sheet, which is included in the photo checklist, but then you go back out and install the blue lockbox on the front door, and we'll provide the combos to you whenever you get the assignment. Place the correct key on this sheet of paper and trace around it so that we can see which key is being used on the property. This helps clear up any possible confusion as to which key the correct key for the house is. Then you take the house key and a little padlock key that we give you, you stick it inside that lockbox, then you get your black lockbox, and if you can, go put it on the back door. Now, this is our backup lockbox that people will go to if the key's missing out of the primary lockbox. So we need to make sure that whoever is being directed to that lockbox can, first of all, find it, and secondly, get to it without having a locked gate or without having anything get in the way. We need them to be able to access this without having to unlock some other kind of gate or door. So if you can't get to the back door, just put it near the electric meter or somewhere in the front yard to take good photos and good notes of exactly where it is, so we can guide people to that backup lockbox if we need to. Next, we ask you to take a completely different set of photos using the date stamp function, and I'll show you exactly how to turn that date stamp function on in your camera. I'll show you what it looks like. And we're asking you to take a completely different set because they're used for a completely different purpose, and we need two actual completely different sets of photos. We can't just use the same set of photos and Photoshop a date stamp on there. We'll get in a lot of trouble for that, and they will actually look, and we will look to see if there are different angles on the photos, to see if we have two completely different sets of photos or if somebody's trying to cut corners, and you definitely don't want to cut corners. And the reason why we have you do one set of photos, then do the input form, and then do another set of photos is because when you're doing the input form, you'll find some things that you might have missed, and you'll become aware of some different things in the property, and having that second set of photos after that form, it helps you to be able to, go back and get the photos that you may have missed. Number 6, take time to write down what room the damage was in and things that impressed you or disgusted you about the house. Things that might have impressed you, amenities, would be crown molding, and something that might have disgusted you would be a nasty smell. We may not see everything that you're seeing there. We may not notice it, and we definitely will not be able to tell if the house stinks just by looking at the photos. So we need you to actually make notes, and it's sometimes really hard for us to be able to tell what room an item is in because we don't get the full context of where the photo is being taken. So we need you to write down what room these things are in. We also need you to mark down differences from what you saw in reality in the house during your inspection and what was on the HPIR. What we're doing is we're checking to see if the person that did the HPIR did a good job or not, and we're trying to notate anything that they might have missed. We're also checking to see if there were any other if there was a contractor that might have taken care of any of the issues that were noted in the HPIR. So there's a lot of reasons we do this, but one way or the other, it's just absolutely important for you to pay close attention to detail as to what might be different from that HPIR and what we're seeing in person. Next, double check over your photos, make sure they're as good a quality as possible, no blurriness, the lighting's good, and that you have everything you need to complete this assignment before leaving the property. If the photos are not good quality, we will have to ask you to go back to the property, take a completely different set of photos, and that will be the most costly mistake you can make because that'll take a lot of time and money. You don't want to do that. We don't want you to do that. So just double check, make sure you got everything. Then upload all of this stuff to us through Dropbox. Don't set up with Dropbox right now unless you, if you already have an account, that's fine. But we're going to actually help you get set up. We're going to share a folder with you. And so we need to initiate that process. And I'm going to explain to you exactly what Dropbox is later on. There's going to be a simple tutorial on how to get set up, and this is technology that is very, very, very simple, and it's the best way that we know for you to be able to deliver all the photos and documents to us. It's very efficient, and I think that you'll really like it. So you're going to be sending us the date stamp photos, the non-date stamp photos, and then all those documents, as well as this checklist. So you're going to need to sign this checklist, date it, scan it in, and send it to us. And then after you've done all that, you've completed the initial inspection checklist. After you've completed several assignments, you'll be able to do most of this stuff without ever referencing a checklist if you so choose. However, it's never a good idea to do that because we're constantly changing these checklists and making changes as to what we need, and it may not be big changes to you, but if it's something that our client requires, it's something that absolutely has to be done, and we don't always send out an email letting everybody know that these changes have occurred. We just depend on everybody to read the checklist and to go by the checklist every single time. So it's important, no matter what, even if you know what's on the checklist, to go through the checklist and do every item every step of the way on every assignment.